continue. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm proud to be standing before you today along with our law enforcement officers, Montgomery Police Department, Acting Chief John Hall, as well as our representatives from the ATF, and certainly our City Council President, C.C. Calhoun. I'm not proud to be standing here today talking about another issue of gun violence in our city. This senseless act is something that should not happen. Those that were a part of this, we are certainly looking for who perpetrated this crime, not only on the victims, but also on the entire community. This is something very serious, and we are concerned about those who have been injured. Our sympathies go out to them and their families. But we've got to make sure that in our city, there's a greater appreciation for life, there's a greater appreciation for conflict resolution, and there's a greater appreciation for de-escalating situations without pulling a gun. These events cannot continue to happen. We will not stand for it. We will not be satisfied until we're doing everything at the local, state, and federal level to find those who are part of these continued incidents. This senseless violence just has to stop. And there are too many outlets for people to get assistance, to get help without resorting to gun violence. It impacts too many innocent lives in our community. It impacts too many people. And so the fact that we're here today for what occurred overnight with multiple people shot and hundreds of rounds being found at the scene is discouraging, it's disappointing, but it also is frustrating. It also infuriates all of us here who are working to provide for a safer community in our city for everyone, regardless of where they live. And so I just wanted to bring a few comments to you before I turn it over to Chief Hall to speak to some of the specifics. But I want to say this, not only as it relates to last night's incident, but those that have happened recently. We will continue to work with our law enforcement partners in this effort to reduce gun violence in our community. We will leave no stone unturned. We're looking for best practices and implementing those as we speak. And I'm really proud by the response we've gotten from those at the local, state, and federal level and outside agencies to assist us. But let me say this before I turn it over to Chief Hall. It's not just on law enforcement to do this. They cannot carry the burden alone. We have to have individual responsibility and accountability for what's happening in our city. Those who know what happened need to come and let us know who was involved and why they were involved. There are anonymous ways to do that, but you cannot expect to be in a safer community if you are part of the problem. We're asking those to be part of the solution who are innocent bystanders, who know where some of these individuals reside and who know what is leading them to this type of activity. So we're calling on our community to do their part, to help law enforcement. It doesn't matter how many officers. We can have 3 times the officers right now. We got 3 times the ATF agents, FBI, sheriff's deputies, ALEA. We could go down the list. They can't be on every corner policing every interaction and every situation. At some point, the people in the community have to be more accountable in assisting law enforcement to do their job. Where we know we have bad actors, we need you to let us know where we have bad actors. Where we know we have people that are known troublemakers, we need you to let us know that. So then we can do our part to be more proactive as opposed to reactive. And so our law enforcement community is doing everything they can to make this a safer community. We tip our caps to them. We're grateful for all the work that they do each and every day. They don't sleep. They're working all the time to serve and protect this community. But we need the community to do the same thing. We need the community to have that same level of commitment to what they want to see right here on their streets, in their neighborhood, in this city, and in this region. And so I call on those that were there last night in the North Pass community who know something, say something. let us know what happened, because next time you don't know if it'll be you or someone you love or someone that you know who may be a victim of gun violence. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chief Hall to give us some details and specifics on this incident. Chief?
Thanks, sir. Good evening, everybody. Last night, or actually this morning at around 1:48, we had an officer respond out to the area of North Pass in reference to multiple subjects that had been shot. And I'll tell you, at 1:48, the call center received a call in reference to shots fired. In other words, someone discharged a weapon into the air. At 1:48, MPD was dispatched to the shots fired call. At 1:50, that call was changed from shots fired to a subject had been shot. And then the first MPD officers arrived at 1:55. So it was a 7-minute response time from the time the calls came into the call center until we had MPD on site over in North Pass. When officers arrived, we only had 2 victims that were located on the scene. Both of them were suffering from non-life-threatening gunshot wounds, and both were transported to the hospital via ambulance. Now, we did have a total of 11 additional victims taken to local hospitals via personal vehicles. 7 of those had gunshot wounds. 3 subjects were hit by vehicles while people were fleeing from that area, and 1 subject was hit by flying glass. So again, that's 9 gunshot victims, 3 victims hit by vehicles, and 1 victim hit by flying gas. Now, I will say this was an unpermitted party that was occurring over in that area. That being said, means it was going beyond someone's personal property, spilling out into multiple properties into the street. In order to do that, you must have a permit. So this is an unpermitted event going on out there. Right now, we're working closely with our federal partners and state partners, including the FBI and the ATF. They've been assisting us since early on in this case and will continue to assist us in this case so that we can bring additional resources to the table and so that we can look at bringing the best possible charges against the individuals responsible for this very heinous act. While we were on the scene, I will tell you that we did collect more than 350 different spent shell casings out there on the scene. Now I'll ask ATF, Ms. Conway, if you can step up.
Sure, thank you. Thank you. Hello, I'm the resident agent in charge, Jennifer Conway, here in Montgomery, Alabama. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief, for inviting us here. Although just a small group of us stand up here, it nowhere near measures the amount of people and agencies that are working this case. Major Barnes, a lot of respect for you. That's what brings us out, is the respect we have for Montgomery Police Department, the mayor, and this city. And we have resources that we can bring to the table that we will not be specific on today, that we will solve these crimes, these heinous crimes that are occurring in the city of Montgomery. And although, again, you may think nothing's going on, but just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not going on. And I promise you, if you are responsible for this, stand down, because we are coming for those who did it. We may know who did it, but we will make sure that our cases are as solid as can be, so that when the case is finally brought to justice, that you will not get out again. And we will keep the city of Montgomery safe. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, that concludes our statements. We open up for any questions that you may have. Yes, sir.
Mayor.
Can you identify yourself? I'm sorry.
Marty Roney, Montgomery Advertiser.
Yes, sir. That's okay.
Usually on that side of the river. Not downplaying the injured.
Mm-hmm.
We've all seen the videos purporting to be from the area of the shooting, where you hear hundreds of rounds fired. You or someone else could address this. How lucky are we that we don't have multiple fatalities in a situation like this?
Oh, we're extremely blessed. I mean, there's no way to say this other than the fact that we're blessed. And I believe in blessing more than I believe in luck. I just think that in this case, this situation could have been a lot worse. We know that there have been other mass shootings just in the last 24 hours in other cities that have been worse. And so from our standpoint, we want to eliminate all possibilities of this. And one thing that I do want to commend are those members of the community who have already provided some help and assistance. We want to thank them for that, and we need more of that from those that were there. Certainly want to also thank our officers from MPD for responding in such a quick amount of time. There's some information out there that's just dead wrong about how long the response time was. Chief Paul just gave you the data, and we're proud of that. We're proud of the work that they do, and we're proud again to have all of our law enforcement community standing with us at this time. But I'm going to say again, the community has to help. The community has to make sure, just like anything else, if they see something on social media or they know something is brewing, they have to assist us so that we can head these things off. If not, we're coming to the response as opposed to dictating what may or may not happen. I also want to say that the sheer amount of men and women who are carrying automatic rifles and using automatic rifles in this city is unacceptable. It's something that these rifles are not designed for streets and neighborhoods. We don't have the laws in place to deal with that. And I would hope that our state and federal leaders, those that are engaged, would be open to common sense gun reform that we're willing to do at the city council level. We're willing to do at the local level. We're willing to put teeth into some of our ordinances that we pass, and we're willing to work with our local state delegation on doing just that. So I would hope that there's also, again, an understanding that this was a blessing, that we don't have multiple fatalities, and we will continue to pray for those who have been injured, but that there's also responsibility at the state and federal level to assist us at the local level in doing what we've been trying to do for years, which is to take the guns out of the hands of people who should not have them, people who should not be carrying guns, much less automatic rifles that can let off as many rounds in a second as we just heard just here within the last 24 hours. So I hope that message comes through to those on the law enforcement side. We're willing to come to the table with a sense of, reconciling what's possible, what's doable for all of our cities, not just in Montgomery. I spoke with mayors just over the last few days from around the country who are dealing with this issue, and it doesn't matter what political party they're in, it doesn't matter what part of the country they're in. We all know that our police officers and law enforcement agencies are challenged by this, and we don't want to send them into a situation where they're outmanned and outgunned. And right now, we just have too many of those circumstances that are happening. So yes, we're blessed that there are not fatalities at this point anyway, but we know it could have been worse, but we want to prevent the next one from happening altogether. And we'll continue to pray and look out for those who have been injured. And we ask that, again, those that were part of this, keep them in mind too, because they will have permanent trauma. They will have permanent scars by this, not just physical, but mental as well. And so if that was someone you know or someone that you work with or you go to church with and you're just out having a good time and they were injured, then you have a responsibility as well to assist us in telling us what happened and who's behind it so that we can find them, put them in jail for a long time, and go from there and find others who are doing just the same thing. Yes, sir.
Mayor Simon Schuster, WSFA. I was just wondering, is there any more information on what type of gathering this was? And I know it was unpermitted. Was it a surprise to see that, or had anyone in the city known about this gathering beforehand?
I'll turn it over to the chief to address that.
To answer the question, yes, we were aware this was going on, and we do everything we can. We know these things are not going on. Last night was a busy night. We did have a homicide shortly before that. We had a robbery shortly before that, and another shooting shortly before that, which again have us move our officers from location to location to deal with those incidents, because when we deal with violence, I can't send a solo officer in there. We do have to go in numbers, so we have to move things around. And again, that's where the mayor said, we depend upon the community. While nothing may be going on at the time when we first drive through, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And I'll tell you, it's also happened in the past where we get this and they say it's going to happen at 10 o'clock. It doesn't. It happens at 1 o'clock. So again, it comes back to the community. We get it's going to happen, but it doesn't happen when it say it's going to happen. So again, I can't leave someone there for the safety of the city, for the call volume of the city. We've got to move our officers so that they can continue to do their work to help stop other things in the city. So again, we come back to ask, if you see something, say something. So just because you think we know about it, something's going on, let us know. We'll do what we need to do to make additional adjustments as we go. That's one of the things we do 24 hours a day, especially in the patrol division. Chief Barnes is very good at taking her resources and reevaluating and redesigning them and redeploying them at a moment's notice to help combat these things. So we got to know about it for her to make those decisions and make those readjustments to the patrol areas.
And what specifically, I know y'all are stressing community involvement, what specifically, other than just talking to law enforcement if they were there, can a community member do even if they weren't a witness?
Just any information you have. If you hear that someone did the shooting, again, just because we're given information does not mean we're going to arrest them. That means I have a reason to talk to them. That means I have a reason to bring them to the table, find out what they know, and see what information they'll give us. So again, it's super important that we get that information. It doesn't mean we're going to throw them in handcuffs. It doesn't mean we're going to throw them in jail. But it does mean we're going to definitely talk with them and see what they actually know. So anything someone has, give it to us so that we can follow up on that lead. We will follow up on 100% of the leads that we get in all these cases. I've already got commitment from the ATF, the FBI, as well as the state of every lead we got. We're going to work together to get through every single lead.
Do you have an estimate, Chief, of how many people were at the gathering before the shooting started?
I was told more than 1,000, but that's unconfirmed.
For people that feel unsafe in Montgomery, what's your message?
The message is Montgomery is we have our problems just like any city in this country, any city in this world. Don't feel safe. Call us. Let us be involved as a police department. Let's work together as a police department and the community so we become one community. Not a police department and a community, but an actual community. So let's not feel unsafe. Let's work together. Let's get through these problems and put these problems behind us so that we can feel more comfortable out there.
And let me address that too. I'm sorry, we'll come to you next for Chief as well. I understand why people don't feel safe. They're inundated with information about things that are happening a lot more than ever. And to be honest, we have too many incidents around gun violence. There's no getting around that. For us, we're looking at every way we can. We work with our city council president and the council to try to think of after-school programs, to try to think of workforce development programs, reskilling initiatives. We work with our housing authority. We try to work with anybody who wants to bring a credible plan to the city to address those who are on the margins, those who may be susceptible to gun violence, and those who may be more likely to be engaged in that type of behavior. We continue to work with those organizations. There are a lot of great organizations in the city, from faith organizations to our nonprofits to others that our city council supports, that we work with, that we talk to, and they often, give us, great feedback about what's working, what's not. Maybe some things that we need to change from a policy perspective. We work with our school system and our school board leadership as well to try to address, all right, how do we find out, who is maybe on the margins a little bit, who's skipping school, who has dropped out, that we can get back into some type of program so they don't resort to a life of crime that leads to not only gun violence, but that leads to break-ins, that leads to robberies, that leads to other issues that we're seeing in this city. So I understand why some of our citizens don't feel safe. What I want them to understand is that we're working day and night in our dreams to make sure that we are utilizing the best resources and the best ideas to make this a safer city. And we'll continue to do that. No one has any ego tied to this. We're working with anybody and everyone that we can. I just mentioned to our folks from the ATF that just yesterday I was a part of a panel listening to the mayor of Kansas City, his police chief, and the ATF assigned agent there, as well as a White House official from their gun violence task force about what's happening in cities and what things cities can do and communities can do to address gun violence and to address violent crime overall. very instructive for me, very instructive for the room full of mayors to hear some of the things that we are attempting to do in our respective communities and some things that we didn't know we could do. And so we bring back those ideas to talk to our police leadership about and talk to our law enforcement community about, as well as the community as a whole, to make sure there's no stone unturned to make this a safer city and to make sure we're doing everything we can to get the bad guys off the street, to make sure that they stay in jail, and to make sure that anyone in this community, regardless of their zip code, can feel safe, can feel free walking down the street. That is not the case as much as we'd like for it to be right now, and that's why we continue to do this work, and that's why we're so serious about it and working with everyone that we can to help us come up with the best ideas and the best proven methods to address that issue. Yes, sir.
John Dupree with WAKA. Do you believe the city of Montgomery is in a crisis scenario due to this rapid crime?
Well, I think that the city of Montgomery can do better to be safer. I certainly believe that from our standpoint, there's work to be done in our city. I believe that we're a safe city. I think our data points to that, but I know it doesn't feel that way to a lot of people. So I respect that. Understand their feelings and their emotions. And so there's work to do, and that's why, again, we work with our federal partners, work with our state partners, as well as our local partners, again, just to see what tweaks we can make, what things that we can shift. And we've got great leadership here at the Montgomery Police Department to give us feedback. Our council does the same. And again, I think from our standpoint, we looked at increasing salaries. We look at increasing compensation to make sure that we can recruit and retain our best and brightest in law enforcement. We'll be ratcheting up our marketing a lot wider to try to bring in law enforcement professionals and those who are interested in a career in law enforcement into our ranks. So we're doing everything we can organizationally. We're going to do everything we can operationally to make sure that this city is safer tomorrow than it is today. Now, that's not to say that there won't be any incidents here or there. We want to reduce those incidents, and we want to make sure that the repeat offenders also aren't people that are committing these incidents. And that's what we're going to need, again, help from the judicial branch of our government. We're going to need help, again, from our district attorney's office and, again, our attorney general's office and others. So we're going to ask everyone involved on that side of the ledger to assist us in this effort, because we know that bringing in more people is important, but we also know you got to have the cooperation and, most importantly, the collaboration. And I want to end my answer with this. The community has responsibility in this as well. We're all in it together. Again, all of the other entities I just mentioned can't do it independently, can't do it alone. We need that type of assistance and that type of involvement from our community that they too are fed up, and I know a lot of them are. And we need some of those who know what's happening on the streets, even before it happens, to let us know that. And to the degree they can help us, then we'll be a much healthier city. We'll be a much better community for everyone involved. And that's what our goal is. Yes, sir.
You mentioned you got to hear over the weekend from a lot of other mayors about a bunch of different ideas. Is there any specific ideas that you heard that you really liked that you're thinking about possibly implementing here in Montgomery?
Yes, we were just talking about one just before this. There are more partnerships, I think, that we can establish at the federal level to assist us. And again, there are more things that we can do with outside organizations and agencies to assist us as well, to be proactive, to understand what's happening in some of the more at-risk populations in our city, and to make sure that we're listening to those warning signs, we're paying attention to them. But again, a lot of it comes back to the community engagement. A lot of it's not just about how many dollars we put in a budget. A lot of it's not about how many people that we have in an agency. It really, really comes back to the community involvement and those who know that there's a problem somewhere with someone letting us know how we can be helpful and maybe redirecting them before they do something that lands them on the other side of the law with either one of these law enforcement professionals that we have here with us.
I have a question for Chief Hall. You mentioned that there was a homicide shooting and a robbery beforehand. Is there any additional details you can give on that?
Not at this time. Those are all still under investigation.
All right. Well, listen, again, I want to thank our City Council President, C.C. Calhoun, and our City Council for working with us. I want to thank all the men and women of the Montgomery Police Department for their hard work and everything they do day in and day out. I want to thank our partners at the federal level for assisting us as well in this, as well as the county and the state. And I want to just say this. We remain committed to making this a safer city. We remain committed to doing everything that we can do to make sure this city is protected. And we're going to do everything in our jurisdictional power to make sure that those who committed this violent crime are brought to justice and they don't see the light of day for a long time. Thank you. Thanks, Chief.